Hey girl, hey, what's going on? What's going on, people? Hey girl, hey. Hey girl, hey. What's up, people? Come on in, take a seat, take a seat. Come on in, take a seat. Get you a seat. Come on in, make room. No purses in the chairs. Hang up your coats. You don't even need any big coats now. It's not that cold. Hey, girl, hey. What's up, Samantha? Lakeisha, LaShayla. You're so welcome, Susan. Susan, those books were gifted to you by Crystal Hairston. She didn't ask me to tell you that, but I just figured I would tell you that because she does so many nice things. Kevin Quick, I don't remember getting an order from you. Did you order books from me? You can inbox me, but I don't remember your name. Hey, Lori. Hey, Nikki. Crystal will probably be in here momentarily. Hey, Teresa. Kevin, I'm going to need a receipt. I don't remember your name. I don't know when you ordered. What's up, Belinda, Carolina, Chuck Pettit? Hey, girl, hey. Well, you don't need to be mad. You need to screenshot me proof of payment because I don't remember your name. I have a list of people when they place an order. I have a whole system. I have a whole process. And I'm not saying that I'm infallible, but you would be the very first person that I didn't ship a book to after receiving money. So I just need you to send me proof of payment and when you paid it. And if you did, in fact, send me money for your books, then I will ship the books to you. But as of now, I don't see anything from you. What's up, Lolita? Hita? Theodore? Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I am Craig the Writer Stewart, and this is the Facebook Live version of So Much to Say. These are my thoughts in my voice on black shit, white shit, gay shit, and everything in between. Today we are talking about, drum roll please, hey girl, hey, what's up Richard? What's up Valerie? Who name did I miss? Hita, did I say Hita? Tiffany, you should have gotten those books today. Did you get those books today for Gwen? What's up, Stacy? Hey, girl, hey. So listen, since today is the first day of Black History Month, and you know, I'm unapologetically black every day. So, you know, we may have a month for Black History, but you know, I'm unapologetically black 365. Let me see what Valerie then sent me in this inbox. Oh, God. Hold on. Let me see what Valerie sent in this inbox. Uh-oh. I'm trying to reset my password. Hey, girl, hey, what's up, Bianca? So while I'm doing this, I will say, I want to thank each and every one of you that made a cash donation to Toiletries for Family. Ken Williams, are you going to be in Houston the weekend of April 6th? I have a signing on April 7th in Houston. Are you going to be there, Ken? Ken like Barbie? Ken like Barbie, are you going to be in Houston the weekend of April 6th? But I want to thank each and every one of you that already sent money to Toiletries for Family. I've already posted I keep posting the notation or the post about the organizations that we're going to support. Right now, I think we've raised $170 for Toiletries for Families. There's a donate button right at the bottom of that post. I'll post it again after we get off of here tonight. So I just want to thank each and every one of you. For those of you that are going to send actual toiletries to the organization, remember, we're going to do that on the 21st of February so that they can receive everything by the 28th. So we're going to start sending everything out on the 21st of February. But if you're going to do money, you can do that now. You don't have to wait for that. There's a link. That money goes directly to them. It doesn't come to me. So I don't want to hear no shit. All right? You're not sending money to me. You're sending it to the organization directly. So thank you all who have already started sending money to Toiletries for Family. Hold on. I got to reset this password. For Facebook. Oh. Hold on, what login they sent to the phone? Look, this is too much. I'm trying to do stuff. I'm over here trying to do stuff. Enter the 6-digit code from your code generator or third-party app below. What is this? I don't know what this is. What is that? I can't check my Facebook right now, but I'll look in a moment. But anyway, so today I wanted to talk about, I have a friend, she's coming by, Nanice, you guys met her before. I don't know what the hell she's doing. She was supposed to be here at 9 o'clock, but I'm going to go ahead and start. It is the first day of Black History Month. As I was saying, I live unapologetically black every single day of my life. I live without apology. Hopefully, if you're black, you do as well. But one of the things she and I was supposed to share this with you probably a week or so ago. She and I were talking about this, and I didn't. Somehow, I had it on this piece of paper right here on the table. Oh, here she is. I had it on the piece of paper on the table, and I forgot about it. And so then today I was looking for something, or yesterday I was looking for something on the table. And I said, what is this little thing right here with all this scribble on it? And so I started reading and said, oh my God, I was supposed to tell them about this last week.
Hey.
Hey. So y'all remember Nanice?
Hey, Pen Pals.
What's going on? How are you?
Whew. Big and heavy, child. Big and heavy.
I see.
How you doing?
I'm good. I had to clear the history on my computer because somebody, see, this is what I get. I got a Fire Stick, so I had no business trying to go onto one of these websites. I'm not even going to tell you what the website is. He was telling me last night, you should go on this website. You can watch all current TV shows. I ain't had no business doing that shit. So I go on there. I start getting all this spyware.
Your
whole system locking up. Tyree in California. I'm going to be there February 8th through Valentine's Day. Hopefully we can get together while I'm there. So anyway, I get all these pop-ups and shit, and it was just like, but fortunately, I have a Mac. Now, you know Macs don't get viruses like that.
Yeah.
I've never known a Mac to just get a virus. So I'm like, what is this? So it's like, please call this phone number so we can help you remove it. That ain't number to set up so they can help me, so I can call and they ask me for my debit card number. And Ty Floyd, I'm going to be doing a signing in Los Angeles February 10th. The details are on my website. Yeah, I got my little whiteboard. February 10th. The details are on my website, craigthewriterstewart.com. And so I ended up contacting Mac today. Yes, so Tyree, we need to get together. So I ended up contacting Mac today, and they just told me to clear my history. So I cleared the history, and it wiped wiped all of my passwords and all that stuff off. So now I'm trying to log
That's
into.
the worst.
Right.
When you didn't put your passwords in your keychain.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in here trying to log back in. It says you've asked us to require a 6-digit login when anyone tries to access your account from a new device. Oh, did I get a text? Hold on, y'all. But anyway, so Nanise and I were having a conversation like a week or so ago, and she has a cousin that's actually doing a documentary. She's putting together a documentary about Black history.
It's like a Black history thing, but she wanted to do it from a Black economical perspective.
So it's from a Black economical perspective, okay? So you are definitely going to want to share this video. So go ahead and hit the share button at the bottom. But she was saying to me, because you know how we talk all of the time about, hey girl, hey, come on in, Lynn, sit down, I'm talking. So you know how we always talk about the residual effects of slavery and how Black folks and other people of color are at a deficit, at a financial deficit because of what happened yesteryear, right? And then there are in some circles, white circles, not all. I know all white people don't believe this or think this or whatever. Hey, Bridget, come on in and sit down. But in terms of white supremacy, will try to convince us and other white people that the reason that Black folks are behind economically is because we're lazy or because we're intellectually inferior. All of the bullshit that they say, right? Well,
you got this napkin.
You know I got this napkin right here. I can throw her away after I finish this conversation. But I shared with you guys before an episode of Antique Roadshow I was watching. Remember I told you about the episode? Didn't I share this with you before? Mm-hmm. And I talked about it one time on my podcast. So much to say. And so there was a slave on. There was a white woman that came on. And all the white people in here, don't get offensive. This is an opportunity to learn and grow. Amen. There was a white woman that came on Antique Roadshow, and she had a floor pot. And long story short, it had been passed down in her family. The historian that was appraising it asked her if she knew the value of it and where it was from. And da-da-da. So she said, no, I don't know. It was just passed down in family, and nobody wanted it. So I decided I would bring it in here and see if it was worth anything. Well, the damn pot was worth about $50,000. And there was a name scrawled on the side of it. Now, I know you don't, Chuck. I know you don't. You're not the only white person in here either, Chuck. We got Amy. Amy is over there in Michigan. We got Tanya Dyzik. She's over in Oregon. So it's a few white people in here. But anyway, the floor pot had the name Dave scrawled on the bottom. You know how like when a painting or a piece of ceramic has like the artist's name on it. So it had the name Dave on it. And so the appraiser said to the woman, he said, see this name down here that says Dave? He was known as Dave the Slave. And I'm only recounting the story for those of you that may not have heard the story when I told it before. He said, this is Dave the Slave. He created all of these pots. His master basically commissioned him to make all of this pottery. You saw that one, Tanya? So you know I'm not telling a lie. That episode of Antique Roadshow. So anyway, the slave owner made this slave make all of this pottery, but the slave owner sold the pottery. Amy, you don't like the way I say your name? How do you say it? So anyway, he sold the pot, like the slave made like floor pots, he made plates, he made cups, you know what I mean? So it was basically revenue for the slave owner. That was his income. And so my thinking when I watched Antique Roadshow that day, when this white woman came there with this floor pot worth $40,000, $50,000, whatever it was, here The pottery was made by a black person, a slave. But yet this white woman's family inherited because they owned the slaves. And so in my thinking, I'm such a methodical thinker. I tend to think all the way down the line before it even happens. And all I kept thinking about was how this white family inherited this pot, which converts to money, and they would take that $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, whatever it was. They'll use that money to put into a trust for their children or grandchildren. They'll use that money to pay for a wedding for their children or grandchildren. They'll use that money to pay for their college education. They'll use that money to help them start their first business or buy a home. Because if I turn on HGTV one more time and I see a 23, 24, 25-year-old couple who got $70,000 to put down as a down payment, and I'm giving, where the fuck they get $70,000 from to put down a down payment? And then it clicks and it's like, oh, Craig, their family probably passed down money. They probably had money in a trust. Shit that we don't typically have. But in the case of Dave the slave, if things were appropriated the way that they were supposed to, Dave's family, this black family, would have inherited this pottery. But in actuality, and I don't know Dave's family, but in actuality, Dave's family is probably somewhere struggling. If they want to open up a business, they probably don't have money to open up a business. That pottery would have been seed money. And what the appraiser also said on the episode of Antique Roadshow was there were only a few pieces by Dave the slave that were still around, and they were owned by a few museums around the world. Yet again, here Dave's family may not even have any money.
Right.
They could be on
displayed in the
right.
finest museums.
And here they are displayed in the finest museums. No doubt, probably one or two pieces up there in D.C. Mm-hmm. Dave's family probably riding on public transportation past those same museums.
Mm-hmm. Over to Southeast.
Over to Southeast D.C. Mm-hmm. Dave's family applying for student loans to get to college, where here this white family inherited all of his pottery.
Well, make mention of the Jack Daniels.
Well, and like I told you guys before about the Jack Daniels story. Jack Daniels, the alcohol, the whiskey. A slave, his name was Nathan. I can't remember what they called him, though. They called him something else. His name was Nathan. But this black slave taught the Jack Daniels family how to make whiskey. Yep. There you have the Jack Daniels company that's today.
And it's not a secret.
And it's not a secret.
It's not a secret.
And it's well known that there's this slave
in this town.
That this slave. But my point is, that was his intellectual property. That was this black slave's intellectual property. But his family should own half of that business.
So now the Daniels family will forever.
In perpetuity. In perpetuity. The Daniel family will have that recipe and money in perpetuity. Their children's grandchildren.
Never stop.
Jack Daniels will never. And guess who buying Jack Daniels? Us. Not me, because I don't drink dark liquor, but us. Well, there you go. Christy, she says she loves Jack Daniels, and there we have it. And it's like, we are the ones supporting it. And it's like, we don't even own it. And so, if you think about the legacy in this country, that's the reason there's a deficit. That's the reason that there's a disparity. And so that which leads me to the conversation that I was having with my friend Nanise.
Give a disclaimer that we haven't done the research.
Oh, right. Right. Now, I'm going to give you the disclaimer on this. Mm-hmm. We have not done the research on this. Her cousin is doing the research for a documentary, and it's about black economics, the history of black economics in this country. Hit that share button. Because I'm about to light y'all up. Hit the share button. This is how we educate each other. This is how we teach and learn. And urge to go do your own research as well. Because I'm telling you, this doesn't take away from white folks or anybody else, but we come from a rich legacy of people.
It's a part of our history that we'll never know if it's not discussed.
And
talked about and try to be hidden away.
Exactly. And that's why, and the thing that's so interesting is, I saw, I was on Instagram today. I'm going to start doing this thing. I'm going to start incorporating this thing on here, scrolling through Facebook or scrolling through Instagram. So I'm going to share with you guys the things that I come across that are interesting. But I'm scrolling through Instagram today, or Facebook, one of them, and Octavia Spencer, black actress, she was in The Help. She said that she wasn't going to be in L.A. for the premiere of this new movie, Black Panther. Mm-hmm. And so she was saying that she was going to be in Mississippi. And for all of the white people that might be in here who think I might be a little biased or whatever, I'm going to have drinks with my white friend Chuck.
Your one white friend, Craig. That's how you gonna act.
I got more than one white friend. I'm going to have drinks with my white friend Chuck this coming Sunday. Yeah, go on. No, you ain't got to go to the overflow, Tracy. You could. It's about 5 more people before you got to go over to the overflow. But I was looking at Instagram or Facebook today, and Octavia Spencer, the actress from The Help, she said, and what's the movie with Janelle Monáe and
Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures. She was also in Hidden Figures, and she was saying that she's gonna be in Mississippi when Black Panther movie comes out.
Does it come out this weekend?
I think it comes out this weekend.
I'm gonna see if I can get our tickets.
So
I heard it's sold out.
I was about to tell you, I think it's already sold out. Mm-hmm. So she said she's going to be in Mississippi. So what she's planning to do is buy out a theater in Mississippi so that underserved people,
that's awesome,
poor people, black people can go and see this movie. And you know why that's so important to do that? And I was thinking today, I wonder who was the first person to do that. Like I've seen Will Packer do it, the owner of Oh yeah, and The Shape of Water. Yeah, that's her movie too. She's in that. She's in Shape of Water. Yeah, thanks, Edward. Edward, I'm gonna be in LA February 8th through the 14th. I hope I see you. I hope you'll be there. So anyway, I know Will Packer, the filmmaker who did Stomp the Yard and Think Like a Man and all of these other movies. I know he's bought out theaters before for people to see it, but I think it's extremely important when our artists do that for these black movies like Hidden Figures and the Help and The Great Debaters and all these movies that really teach us our history. I think it's important to do that. But I was like, I wonder who first started doing that.
Right, I've never heard of that.
But just how ingenious that is to do that, for us to do that. We think of so many amazing things. And all I keep thinking is, why can't we figure out how to come together in other areas? Now, granted, we're doing really well in a lot of areas, in a lot of spaces. But here's the point that I'm trying to get to. So my friend Nanise and I were having this conversation. And again, I'm going to say this one more time. We have not done the research on this. She has a cousin that's doing a documentary who found this research. Now, you guys are familiar with Georgetown University, which is an Ivy League up in D.C. And they owned slaves. Buckle your motherfucking seatbelt, because I'm about to light y'all up with this. Buckle your seatbelt. And not only do you need to buckle your seatbelt, you need to hit that share button if you haven't already done it. Georgetown University, an Ivy League. Now, you know if Georgetown owned slaves, there were some other institutions that owned slaves. Girl, these are my notes on this napkin. These are my notes. Georgetown University owned slaves. And there was a point in time, I need you to just rest on that. There was a point in time, of course, because black people were considered property, just like like with your car or with your house, you can put your house up for collateral, like if you're going to the bank and you're going to borrow money. Well, Georgetown University owned slaves. And there was a point at which they needed to borrow money from the bank. And they put their slaves up as collateral. And there came a point, now correct me if I misspeak, there came a point where Chase Bank, Hold on.
I think these are two separate stories.
Yeah, these are two separate stories. These are two separate stories. There was also a point where Chase Bank owned slaves. So Georgetown University owned slaves. Chase Bank owned slaves. So, and Chase pretty much started owning slaves because people were putting the slaves up for collateral
and weren't coming to redeem them.
And they were defaulting. Or just like you go to a pawn shop, you go take your computer to the pawn shop and you get your money from the pawn shop, and you don't have no intention of going back to get it. You just needed that money. So Chase Bank owned slaves because people defaulted on their loans. And so they were able to get
Honey, I had to sit, when we were on the phone talking about it, I was like, what?
That ain't even the half of what I'm about to say.
Because then it goes into Harvard, it goes into Brown University.
It goes into.
It goes into.
It goes in. It shows you.
That's what it was. She was talking about colleges, universities, and the economics of slavery.
I
think that's kind of
right.
Overall.
Now we know, most people know, and if you don't, I'm gonna tell you now. HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, were founded by black people. Like Hampton was founded by Booker T. Washington. So they were founded by, and in some instances, they were founded by these fraternities and sororities, these black fraternities and sororities. But this is proof, and this just shows you how racism has permeated so many areas, because it's not just and when I say white folks, I'm not talking about your everyday white folks. I'm talking about those who believe in the principle of white supremacy. But when you talk about white supremacy, it's not just about what folks do to you and how they treat you. It's the shit that they exclude you from. It's the shit that they don't allow you into. So, like, here these slaves built colleges, Georgetown,
or were the capital
used to fund the building of these colleges. And here we can't even afford to get in them without scholarship.
Just have a seat right there.
I'm gonna let them marinate on that for a second.
Right,
you want a bottle of water?
I do want something.
All right.
You got some juice?
I got some cran apple and cran raspberry.
Tell them you'll be back.
I need you to chew on that for a moment.
They need to ponder.
Okay. Which one did you want, cran raspberry or apple?
Yeah, cran raspberry.
And then when you think about Chase Bank, how difficult it is for us sometimes to get a business loan to start a business. When in fact, black people, black slaves were once used as collateral, which means black folks have been the foundation
so we were good
of those banks.
Okay, so listen to this. We were good
of
enough
building.
to be put up
Yes.
for someone else's debt.
Right.
But we can't now come in
To borrow money. Which leads me to, yes, Annette, we built this country. Built. And then, look, here's another thing. When Michelle Obama made that speech before they left office, and she said, I wake up every morning in a home that was built by slaves, I had never really thought about that until she said it. But here's the thing that's interesting.
And she was the first black woman to live in that house.
Exactly.
So
Slaves built it, but that was the first black family to live in there. Everybody else black that had been in there were workers, were employees, or had been slaves. The thing that's so interesting about that speech, though, is their speech writers primarily were white, because I saw a documentary. I can't remember what that documentary was. It was following Obama. It was like following up. It was like the year before the campaign and going up to the campaign. I can't remember what that documentary was called. But the main speech writers were white men. So now I don't know if Michelle Obama put that line in there, but somebody white was helping to craft that speech. So my point in saying that is, they know the history. They've made an effort to keep that history from us. But back to this bank stuff. So here, slaves were used as collateral for people to borrow money to build their businesses and stuff. But here we can't even sometimes get a loan. And it takes me back to this podcast that I listened to called How I Built This. And I think I've shared it with you guys before. It's a podcast for entrepreneurs. People that are, it's a podcast where the founders of Instagram are on there. The founders of Five Guys, the burger place. the founders of Uber, Airbnb, Spanx, the woman who created Spanx, Sarah Blakely. All of these, and the woman who created Carol's daughter, Lisa Price. So Kathy Hughes was on there one day. Kathy Hughes, for those of you who may not know, she owns Radio One, which is the largest R&B black formatted radio station in the country. So it's Radio One, but she also owns TV One. She started TV One. Well, on this particular podcast, it was excellent. On this particular podcast, she talked about how she was sleeping in the radio station because she didn't have enough money to have a place of her own and run this business. So she was sleeping with her son, who was like 3 or 4 at the time, in the radio station. They were taking baths in the bathroom in the radio station. So long story short, there was a point where the radio station is moving. You know, the business is coming in. They're getting advertisers to advertise on the radio station, right? Well, in advertising and in magazine sales, for those of you who don't know, I'm not trying to speak to you like you don't know, but I'm sure there are people who don't know how the industry works. When you do advertising sales with a magazine or with radio stations, they pay you on what they call a net 30 or net 45 or net 60, whatever. Basically, you'll get paid within 30 days or 45 days or 60 days, whatever it is to set up. You don't get the check right away. So she had all these advertisers that were advertising on a radio station, but they were basically invoices. And they were waiting. So she was waiting. She had like all this money waiting to come in. And so she needed like $10,000 to make her payroll. Because she had staff at this point. She had the radio station. Yeah, Lakeisha, that's your Obama phone, girl. We moving clearly tonight. So she and her business partner went to a bank. Now remember what I just told y'all about banks. She goes to a bank.
I thought she went to 10 or 15 banks.
Well, that was initially to get the loan to buy the station.
Oh, okay.
No, she went to 32.
Ooh.
It was the 32nd one that told her yes. She went to 32 banks to try to get money to buy the station in the first place. And she finally got a yes on the 32nd attempt from a Hispanic woman who wanted to do business with a minority and a woman. And she said, the Hispanic woman said she thought that it was going to be a Hispanic woman that she was going to give money to, but it ended up being Kathy Hughes, a black woman. But once the station is going and is up and running, she has staff. She's waiting for payroll. She has to make her payroll, which was like $10,000. Well, she goes to a bank and says, listen, I need to make my payroll. I need to borrow.
Against her payable, she
got the receipt showing that the money coming in, right? They wouldn't loan it to her.
But if she were white and owned some slaves back in 1830, whatever.
I'm going to take it further than that. The bank she went to, I don't know what bank it was probably built on the back of slaves. And I can't come in here and get a loan? And I got proof that I make the money, that the money is coming?
It's coming.
Her business partner said to the banker, not to the Hispanic woman, because remember, that was the Hispanic woman gave her the money that she used to buy the radio station. But later on, she went back to them to make her payroll. And her business partner said to the banker, so let me get this right. So you won't loan her $10,000 to make her payroll, but you'll loan her $30,000 to buy a car.
Yeah. The answer was yes. The answer was yes.
And so when people say, because one time DT, you guys know DT, he was saying that he was having a conversation. He was the only black person at a dinner table. It was a work event. And this is leading up to the Trump election. And he said he was the only black person at the table. And all of the white people, they didn't understand how black and brown people were saying that he was racist.
Did Trump?
They didn't understand, like leading up to the election, how he was making all these crazy statements and shit, which he still does. But DT was so frustrated at the table. And he said, Craig, I just didn't have. He said he's so frustrated he ended up crying. Like DT is real emotional. I said, see, they better be glad that my black ass wasn't at that table because I'd have lit their asses up.
And then got put out there.
And then when I got put out, then I'd have got put out because I'd have chewed their asses up at that dinner table. But when the premise of that conversation that they were having was, it was almost this. Well, we've worked for what we have. We've worked for what we have. Everything we
himself so long.
Right.
And became their truth.
Right. And the reality is, let me make a little note because I need to come back to something. But the reality is, so much has been passed down generationally. Jack Daniels, Dave the Slave, the artwork with the money and stuff from that has been passed down to white families. So, Henrietta Lack, I told you guys about that.
No doubt. Once Jack Daniels' family learned the process of distilling whiskey, yes, they had to put the work in.
That's what I'm saying. I think it should be owned in part by Jack Daniels' family and in part by the black family, because the Jack Daniels family knew how to create the business to bring it to what it is today, but without that recipe, but not for that recipe. So I believe that once they found out, and they know about this black family, they know that recipe came from the slave, they should have broke that family off. They should have shares in the business.
Oh, you didn't go on to tell them the writer, maybe from NPR, I might stand corrected, who went to the town to do this story, ended up helping Nathan's family start a whiskey. But let's be real.
It ain't going to be no competition for that.
Next to Jack, nobody gonna know. They don't know the story.
Right. And so, what was the point I was making? I was making a point right there. Oh, but even like with the Henrietta Lack story, black woman from Baltimore, they used her cells without the family's permission. And they've used her cells in every single medical breakthrough since they started using her cells. Every advancement that they've made with cancer, sickle cell, AIDS, they were using this woman's cells. Oprah Winfrey just did the movie last year. The Henrietta Lack story. It was on TV. Her family was never compensated. So my point is, if black folks and brown folks were compensated for all of the shit that we've really contributed to this country, there would be more balance. There would be more balance. And so I'm a huge Shark fan. And they're still in the Henrietta Lack, Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. They're still using her cells to this day.
And when you say cells, you mean
her cells?
She gave herself.
She didn't give. She went in for something else, and they started using her cells.
That's what do they call that? Like when you steal my physical.
Right. Yeah, it's over there. And my thing is, and I'm a huge Shark fan, a Shark Tank fan. Huh?
Yeah, Shark Tank.
I'm a huge Shark Tank fan. And again, I often watch Shark Tank. And I love the show. I love the show. And I'm always looking at the entrepreneurs on there. And oftentimes it's white folks. Usually you do have some black folks on there from time to time too. But the white folks, when they start their businesses, generally, not all of the time, because there are some white folks that come on there, they don't have money. And they don't have money to start their business. They didn't come from a family with money. But generally, when the white folks come on there, they've had money that they were able to put into their idea from friends and family. So case in point, like I was watching it one day and there were some entrepreneurs on there, they were white, and they were like, oh, well, how did you get the initial seed money to start your business? Where did the money come from? Oh, we just did a little round of, we just raised some money from friends and family. Well, how much did you raise? Oh, we raised $120,000. Bitch, I wish I knew people. Do you think I know people around here that can give me $120,000 to get these books moving the way I need them to go? Do you think I got 10, 12 black people that I can call and say, look, I need 10,000 from you. I need 10,000 from you. So my point is, they oftentimes have a head start. Case in point, I'm from Baltimore. And in Baltimore, we call, you know how we have Uber now? Well, back in the day, we used to call it a hack.
Like New York called it a gypsy cab?
Like in New York, they called it a gypsy cab, and, you know. And you be like, oh, yeah, that's the name of the movie, Tanisha. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. That's the movie where they tell you how they were taking this woman's cells. Johns Hopkins was taking this, and they made millions off of it. Because they don't just use it here in the States. They're selling her cells around the world. They selling it to labs and shit around the world. But anyway, you know, we call, like when you go to the grocery store and you don't have a car, and like when you come out of the grocery store, usually like a bunch of little men out there with their little car, and they might be like, hey, do you need to get a hack? You need a hack home? Right? My point is, black folks been doing that for years. We just didn't have a device to do it. You understand what I'm saying? But who's to say that somebody black didn't come up with the idea, a similar idea or an idea like that? Because it's like a lot of times we don't have the capital to bring an idea to the market like that. What's that?
The writer of the book, Henrietta Lacks' story.
Exactly. And the writer of the book is a white girl of the Henrietta Lacks story. Yeah, it's a white girl. Rebecca Skloot. They actually talk about her in the movie. Yeah, she actually sat down with Oprah Winfrey's character who played Henrietta Lacks and convinced her to tell the story. Wow. But my point is, we come up with so many ideas and things, but I think a lot of times we don't, and not even just inventions and things like that, but what if there is some young filmmaker out there who has an amazing film idea, but because he doesn't have the resources to shoot it, to buy a camera, to edit it, or da-da-da-da, or sometimes you have an idea for a business plan. I remember when I was starting my greeting card business, Say It in a Card. I didn't know how to write a business plan. I didn't know how. And see, those are the kind of obstacles that are put in front of us sometimes. Oh, you go to a bank to borrow money. Oh, well, you need to have a business plan. Like, well, who knows how to write a business plan? The average person doesn't know how to just write a business plan. But my point is, we a lot of times will come up with amazing ideas, but we don't know how to execute it. Or we don't have the resources to execute it.
Or the funding.
Or the funding, the backing. You know what I'm saying? And I say to my mom and I say to my mom and my family all the time, you know, you all, and this is not at all to try to guilt them, because I believe that this is my dream, this is my passion, it's my responsibility to see it through. But, you know, a lot of times, like my mom, she hasn't said it in a while, but, you know, she said before, I'll be glad when things really take off with you in these books. And, you know, whatever. She said, because I want to travel and I want to be able to do this. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, girl, you own your house from the time I was in middle school. I'm 41. If you really believed, girl, you think we can take something out of that house and put behind this business? You understand what I'm saying? Like you got.
Hence the fried fish people.
Hence the fried fish people that were on Shark Tank. I told y'all about that the other week. It was a black family on there. It's called Joe's Fish Fry. They own this fish fry batter, and they didn't have the money to get started. And the husband's father, had retired, and he had $50,000 in his retirement, and he took all of that money and gave to them and put it into their business. That's a big sacrifice. It's a big sacrifice. And I'm not saying you do that right out of the gate, but they had been doing it for some time, and they actually had like 5 or 7 restaurants in New Orleans at the time. Mm-hmm. But what happened was Katrina devastated the restaurants. And so, all of them. So they live here now. This family now lives here. And they have this fish fry. I need to try it too. Anissa, you may have to Google it. I was in Walmart one day looking for it and I didn't see it. I was in Kroger one time, didn't see it. But they're supposed to be in H-E-B. The fish fry is supposed to be in H-E-B, Walmart, Kroger. It's a bunch of stores. But they also sell it online. So you can just Google Joe's Fish Fry and they'll ship it to you. It's like $4 and change per pack. But anyway, you have to take a risk. And oftentimes we don't take the risks because we don't have as much to gamble with. You understand what I'm saying?
And it took us so long to even get, who knows how long it took their father to even be able to buy that house or wherever he took the money.
Yeah, wherever, yeah.
If it came out of equity in his home.
Right.
Whatever.
Right, but he believed enough in them to put that money behind them, and now they're working. Now it's working.
And
What?
In your own personal story, someone put money behind you.
Absolutely.
One time, and it was a blessing.
Absolutely.
A good amount of money.
Right. Let me say this before we go to that.
Okay.
We can talk about it.
Okay.
But I say to you guys all the time, and it's a quote in this book, your success is on the other side of your sacrifice. So the question becomes, what are you willing to sacrifice? Yeah. I think I shared with you guys before. We can come to Kelsey in a second. I'm going to write a note right here so I don't forget. But I remember when my mom started her business. She started an assisted living business when I was in like middle school. But she didn't start to benefit and make money from it until I was in high school. Like I was about to graduate high school. So you do the math. From middle school to high school, like I was on my way into college when it started to really make money. And she had made all of these sacrifices. And like we had family members that didn't really help. Like she needed help. And my mother has 12 brothers and sisters. At the time, she probably had 10 that were still living. And nobody was really helping her. She was breaking her back going down there, meeting with contractors or trying to scrape up money to do whatever she was trying to do. And I think that's where I get my entrepreneurial spirit from her. You know, because I watched her, figure shit out and take care of me and, whatever, and my nephew, because my mother raised my 2 nephews as well, because my sister was on drugs. That story is in the first book. But to your point, I had someone, and I write about it in my first book, someone that we know mutually blessed me. I've written a stage play, and but prior to, and I've shared this with you guys before. I shared this with you guys before. When I started my greeting card company, everything right here, because I'm often referring to stuff I need to point out because there's always new people in here, so I got to let them know. And so a friend of ours, she had a nonprofit. She had a nonprofit business at one point. Nonprofit organization, not business. And what they did was similar to what we're doing now. You know, these 4 charities that we're supplying money to, and we're doing Phadrian. All you got to do is send $20 to the Cash App. My Cash App ID is The Writer, and I'll ship it out tomorrow. But she had a nonprofit organization, and what they did, they supplied school supplies. They supplied school supplies to underprivileged and underserved schools. And so they were doing a benefit to raise money for the organization. And so I was contracted to do invitations. So she learned that I had this greeting card business. And so she and I ended up becoming friends literally 6 weeks after I met her. She was like, oh my God, your cards are amazing. Like, you're so talented and da-da-da-da. And she was like, you just need a little push. You just need somebody to get behind you. And mind you, let me give you a little background on her. Yes, Joe Dow is the man's name who owns the fish fry. So the friend that we're talking about who had the nonprofit organization, she was married to a football player. And he died on the field. So he was already making $4 million a year. And then he died on the field. He had a $5 million life insurance policy, so she inherited that. She inherited whatever they had in the bank at the time. And then she ended up suing the NFL and Riddell. Riddell is the equipment company. You know, they make the helmets and the pads and stuff. So she ended up suing them. So she came, and she sued the doctors as well. She sued them for about $3.5 million. So she came into like a windfall of money. So I met her probably, 2 years after that happened, whatever. So long story short, she said to me, you just need somebody to push you. 6 weeks after I met this lady, she said, I'm going to give you $6,000. So she gave me $6,000 to promote, say it in a card. So I did that, and I was moving, and eventually I was in 6 or 7 stores. But then the economy turned in 2009, 10, whenever it was. And so each of the stores that carried the greeting cards went out of business. Well, before that happened, she and I had become really good friends. And so one day we were driving, going to pick up her son from school. And she knew I had written a play. I had done my play previously. I had sold the play out. So when I tell you she said to me, do you think you could do your play for $50,000? Girl, of course I could do my play for $50,000. Hit the share button. If you haven't hit the share button, hit the share button. You're going to bless somebody. She said, do you think you could do your play for $50,000? And I said, oh, yeah, of course. She said, well, if you can do it for 50, she said 50 G's. That's what she said. She said, well, if you can do it for 50 G's, I'll give you the money. It was just that, it was like she said, if you need $10 to put in your gas tank, I got you. It was just so simple like that. But at the time, I was in a different space mentally. Because I had done the play before. It had sold out, but then it had flopped twice. I had met Tyler Perry already. He said the show was brilliant, but then he refused to help because it's told from the perspective of 6 gay characters. So I was in a broken space. Like, I just wasn't interested. And looking back, I know now that I was in a depression. I was literally in a depression. And so I was trying to figure out if I had the wherewithal to even do a play again. I knew I had the resources because she was going to give me the money. But I didn't know if I had the stuff to do it again. It's a lot of work to put up a show, going to rehearsals, auditioning, and all of that. And I just didn't know if I could handle another flop. And so I ended up going to New York. I was going to New York for my friend Danielle's 30th birthday. So this was 11 years ago. I was going to New York for my friend Danielle's 30th birthday. And while I was there, I went to see a stage play off Broadway, Platinos and Collard Greens.
I remember that.
And I remember them not... Yeah. And so, and that was 11 years ago. Like, this March will be 11 years that I did the play because it was 2007, March 2007. And so I went to see this play, and they didn't have much of a budget. They didn't even have much of a set. I could tell that they were wearing clothes from their wardrobe. Like, they didn't have, like, a costume person. And that play shifted something in me. And yes, it's in the first book. And so that play shifted something in me. And I was just like, I can do this. And so I came back to Atlanta, and I said to her, I can do the play. I can do it. I want to do it. Give me the money. Let me do it. And so she started giving me the money to do the play. And each month she gave me like $10,000 until I got all of the money to do the play. And that was when I did the show, the last show, and it opened to a sold-out crowd. It was 13 shows.
That was amazing.
And I'm dying to do that show again. I'm dying to one day do that show again. So we'll see what happens. But I say all of that. Why did I bring her up?
Because we were just talking about, us having the help.
Right. So right. So we don't all, but that was like a rare moment where that happened. But I can't begin to tell you how many times I've thought now, since I've been doing these books, if I had somebody to give me 50 G's now, and in fact, it was more than 50 G's because I had her American Express card too. And she was like, whatever you can put on my Amex card, put on the Amex. Yeah, so y'all can come to the play. And she was like, whatever you can put on my Amex, put on my Amex. And so there were things that I was putting on the Amex, and then she was giving me checks too. So I ended up spending $75,000. But, we don't always have somebody to get behind us to say, well, here, I believe in what you're doing. Here, take this money, go ahead and run with it. And she wasn't like looking over my shoulders. She, like the first month, she was like, write down all of the things that that you need to secure right away. So of course I put the venue. You were with me when I went and paid for the venue. I put the venue down. I had to secure, I had to secure different things.
You had to pay your director?
I had to pay the director because I didn't direct it. He directed it, and I just sat to the side and gave him suggestions and things like that because I had written the music, so I had other things to do. So I had him there, and then like whenever I needed to go to a radio station to do radio promos, I needed somebody there to run the rehearsals, so I was able to do that. And so, but we don't always have that kind of support. But I sometimes think now, like if I had somebody that said, "Here, what can you do with $50,000 to pay back?" It would be off the chain. But it's gonna happen. And not so much that somebody's gonna come and give me the money, but I think that God is gonna make room for me to do it on my own. You know what I'm saying? Because the way that these books are set up right now, the way that y'all ordering these books and stuff, and these greeting cards, it's coming. It's coming. I feel it. My hand's been itching lately. You know, that means when your hand itching, you about to come into some money. And then I've seen a couple ladybugs in here.
That's right. Everything.
You know, ladybugs mean money.
It's a
That means
foot
good
that
luck.
was over the corner
Right.
when I walked.
Look, and I won't even kill the ladybugs. I'll let that girl just fly around here. I don't know if it's one or two. Yes, yes, Marcika. I got that name together now. But you know, it's just about timing. It's about timing. But I wanted to share that little piece with you guys, this little piece of Black history for today. Carolyn, I know you said that every night that I should do something for Black history. And girl, I don't know if I have the time to do that kind of research for every single night, but I'll do the best that I can. But yeah, so it's 10 o'clock. I'm about to get off of here. Hope you guys learned something tonight. Hope it encouraged you and inspired you. Oh, you know what? I'm going to read you a little something. I've shared this before, but I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this because there's some newcomers in here. This is the foreword for the book that I'm writing now. The book that I'm writing now is called Book of Jewels. But I'm going to read this foreword. I know, Valerie. I'm going to read this foreword because it's really apropos. It really kind of fits into what we were talking about tonight. And so I'm going to share this with you. So this is the foreword for my next book. And the book is called Book of Jewels. Okay. In the past, when I considered giving up in business or as a writer because it became difficult, I'd think about them, my people. You are the descendant of slaves that would not quit. Susan L. Taylor, former editor-in-chief of Essence magazine, said those words at Hampton University when I was a student there. She continued by saying, there isn't anything that you can't do. You are here because they would not die. I always reminded myself that I could never give up because they couldn't, and because I have their blood running through my veins. I do it for them. I rely on their strength. It helps move me along. I keep going for them. Our strength as a people is recorded in history, and it's unmatched. I love everything there is about being Black. Our prevailing strength, resilience, adaptability, the rhythm with which we move and speak, our natural instinct to overcome, recreate, and survive. But I didn't always love everything about us. I'm guilty of being harder, more judgmental of us than I should have been. I was embarrassed by the ills of the community, the ghetto language with which some used to speak, the rising number of underage single mothers, deadbeat fathers, the inflated prison and addiction rates, failing school systems, until I realized a few things. One, the media wanted Black people to see and believe those things about Black people. And those things weren't completely true. Two, it was my own concern of how white people saw us. Until I divorced myself from those thoughts and any concern about the white gaze. Finally, we've been severely marginalized by a system designed to make us fail because our potential is limitless. Despite it all, we survive with dignity while managing to produce greatness and remain the envy of the world for our brilliance and genius. It's important for me that I use my gift to help rewrite the narrative of the Black experience in this country without exception. In other words, it's important to me that I tell as much of our truth as possible, including the stuff that Black folks don't want to hear about ourselves. That's my job as an artist, because I see myself as more than a writer. It isn't my intention to divide or incite hate. Rather, to provoke you and all who come in contact with my art, whether it's my podcast, my books, or my stage plays, to think. To think. It's my intention to make you think, to see things differently. As I write this dedication, my adoration for my people, I realize these words are like a dog whistle, sure to incite curiosity. Questions of whether or not racism is at play. It's not enough for me to say, I don't hate white people and I'm not racist, because those statements require support, proof. The same is true when people of color, black people in particular, hear those words from white people without them actually looking at the behavior attached. I'm really clear, like most black people, that shit isn't going well in this country for us, and it's been going on for quite some time. I think it's safe to say that many of us are disturbed by very specific systems of racism, gentrification, the prison system, the disparities in education, and politics, to name a few. It would require too much from me to dismantle each, but I would say, if you haven't already seen 13th, From Slave to Freedom on Netflix, please do. It's really a great start to see the black experience in this country. The disadvantages and disparities we face as a people is evidenced in the news, television shows, and award shows that purport to promote excellence, but somehow manages to exclude black and brown people systematically. White skin doesn't affect what white people see when they see black people being shot down in the streets by cops. Their experiences do. White people who see these injustices as I do are honest enough to acknowledge them. So to answer simply, because I'm for my people doesn't mean I'm against anyone else. I just love us and all we've accomplished with the scraps left for us. I'm ready to see us win in a major way. I'm charged with the responsibility of being sweeter and kinder to and more supportive of people of color. We deserve that in the very least. We're magic. The world knows it. Some hate us because of it. These names have been etched in our hearts and minds and recorded in history, but never to be forgotten. Amadou Diallo, Sean Bell, Oscar Grant, Rakia Boyd, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Laquan McDonald, Philando Castile, Freddie Gray, Sandra Bland, Alton Sterling, and many others. So that's the forward to the new book. Thank you. So on that note, you guys have an amazing night. Say your prayers. Get down on your prayers. Think of how you can be kinder and sweeter to the next person. And that's not just for the black folks in here. That's for everybody that's in here watching this video. Be kinder and sweeter to the next person. We can do that. That's a part of building communities. All right? So you guys say your prayers tonight. Say your prayers. Get down on your knees. Share this video. Share this video. Teach somebody. We share all these videos where we fighting and carrying on. Look at Gigi. She coming in talking about, hey, good night, y'all. Get your coats. Hurry up. Get your coats. Put your shoes on. Hurry up and run. Get out the door before she come in. All right? Bye-bye.